of internal system, backdoor system where Tesla employees and SpaceX employees and what other employees he has can get Social Security benefits, unlike the rest of us. So the rest of us, we have to wait till we're 62 years old until we get retirement benefits, or we're actually disabled in order to get disability benefits, or get 65 years old in order to get Medicare. But according to some recent reports, Wisconsin, a kind of a town hall there, he had said that all you need is a Social Security number. And as long as you get Social Security number, you're set for max benefits. So we're going to talk about that today. And either he's not telling the truth, or he's got some type of backdoor where his employees can get up to $5,000 from Social Security benefits. So we're going to walk through this today. This is also a live Q&A. You can tell it's live, obviously. But this is a live Q&A as well, and I've already got tons and tons of questions, and I'm going to talk about this supposed backdoor benefit that Elon Musk has with the Social Security Administration. I'll talk about that for about 10 minutes. I'll go through a little video here, and then I'll get to as many questions as I possibly can on all things retirement, survivor benefits, disability, spouse benefits, and all the rest of it. Okay, I've got a little clip here. You've probably seen this in the news about non-citizens getting Social Security cards. And you can watch as Elon Musk and his associate, Antonio Gracias, who was in charge, I guess, Tesla for a while, they're kind of clutching their pearls. They are shocked. Their jaws are dropping that non-citizens are getting Social Security cards. My father was born in Canada, and he came over to the United States. He got a Social Security card in early 1970s when he came over. And just before he passed away, the INS immigration was nice enough to come out and finally swear him in as an American citizen, which he had always intended to do. But he was a long-distance truck driver, so it was always difficult to get an appointment. So he finally became an American citizen a few days before he passed away. But he was a non-citizen. So according to Elon Musk, that's not a good thing. And I know he didn't receive $5,000 a month.
In 21, you see 270,000 people. Goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
We went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. All right, Valor's.
All right, so they went there to find fraud. So this guy is a private equity guy. Not sure why he's doing in Social Security. Well, I know what he's doing in Social Security because private equity, they've wanted to privatize Social Security for the long time. So he's definitely in there trying to figure out how to do it, and they can't do it straight out. So they have to find some types of fraud and stuff. So jaw dropping. And he even admit in another clip from actually Wisconsin. So the clip I'm showing today is from Fox News, but in the actual, you saw the chart up there, the big PowerPoint where they were in front of kind of a patent American flag and talking about this. And he says, it's not political. It's not political. He says, my brothers and sisters, were born outside the United States. His father's from Goa, India. His mother's from Spain, I think it was. And so when they came to the United States, they were non-citizens getting Social Security numbers. So I'm not sure why his jaws dropped, considering all his family got Social Security numbers and they were non-citizens. And the guy he's on stage with, a guy named Elon Musk, got a Social Security number, and he was not a U.S. citizen when he came over from Canada, obviously originally from South Africa via Canada, and he came over to study, and he got a Social Security number without being a citizen. So I'm not exactly sure why they're clutching their pearls. Oh my gosh. And he said it's not political. But anytime you say, it's, I'm telling the truth here. As soon as someone starts saying, this is 100% true, then you probably know it's not, whatever they're going to say is probably not true. But he says it's not political. But then they start the graph that they're showing there at 2021. Why 2021? Something happened in 2021? Yeah, Biden became president in 2021. So that's where they wanted to start the graph of, oh my gosh, all of these people, non-citizens receiving Social Security numbers. Oh my gosh, the world is going to end. The program they were talking about is called the Enumeration Beyond Entry. That Social Security, they're always talking about, hey, agencies need to talk to each other to make it more streamlined, to make it more efficient. That's exactly what Social Security did in 2017. they got together with immigration and said, okay, if you allow people in this country legally into the country legally, we want them to be able to work and pay taxes. And they can't really pay taxes and pay into FICA and Social Security and Medicare and all that kind of stuff. They will never get it unless they become, full green card status holders and pay into the system 10 years. But we want them to be able to do that. So, hey, let's come up with a system that makes it easier for them to do it. And that way, makes everything more efficient. And that was started in October of 2017. And that's not filling the narrative, because who was president in October 2017? President Trump. So that's why their chart only goes back to 2021. So, all right, let's watch some more of this. It's kind of, if it wasn't so depressing, it would be kind of funny.
CEO and Doge volunteer Antonio Gracias, the guy you just saw, was just with Musk in Wisconsin over the weekend. He joins us from the North Lawn. Antonio, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
That's a jaw-dropping number. Where did all those people come from?
Well, it made my jaw drop too when I saw it. We were in Social Security looking for fraud, waste, and abuse. And to do that, we actually looked at the enumeration system, the system by which people get numbers in America. And we found that there were just about 5+ million of them that came into the country as illegals, were giving various forms of parole or allowed in the country, and then got through an automatic system, Social Security numbers, so they get into our benefit systems. And we tracked that through and found that they were on the...
Okay. All right. So he's conflating a whole bunch of numbers there. The 5 million, I looked up, try to find out where he's getting the 5 million. So there is about 5 million encounters at the borders. So people come in and says, no, you can't come in and whatever. So Immigration, Border Patrol has, I think this is where the number he's talking about, 5 million encounters. Of those, out of those, well, not necessarily maybe those encounters, but you've got people that come in, American citizens that marry someone from overseas. They bring in their wives and maybe their children or husbands or whatever the case may be. You've got students that come over here to study. They get Social Security numbers so they can work if they're approved for work status. Again, I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country, and we used to have people, students come in and say, hey, I'm a student here. I'm allowed to work as long as I only work this amount of hours, and have to, as soon as I'm no longer a student, I have to, I have to leave the country. I think Elon Musk didn't leave the country when he stopped being a student. He was working on his PhD, and I think he stopped. So he might have been illegal for a little bit, but I'm not sure about that. But once you stop studying, you're supposed to leave the country. And guess what? There's called H-1B visas, which Elon Musk is a big fan of. And you saw in the graph, in the chart, they showed that a giant increase in 2024. Why? Well, into the pandemic, 2024, big demand. Tesla doubled their demand for H-1B visas. And what's an H-1B visa? It's those technical people that work at Tesla, the engineers and computer scientists and all that kind of stuff. And he brought a whole bunch of them in. So this, and the other guy, Antonio, was in charge of Tesla. So he brought a lot of people in. So they contributed to the thousands of people that come into the country. And then he's completely surprised that people are coming into the country as non-citizens, allowed to come into the country to work as asylum seekers. We've had the asylum program since Jimmy Carter's time. It was kind of a Cold War thing that, we wanted to, look nice to the rest of the world to win the Cold War. So one of the things is, hey, you're that little thing on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, you're, tired, huddled masses. If you disagree with the immigrants, the immigration laws, whether there should be H-1B visas or whether they should be the visas that President Trump uses at Mar-a-Lago. If you go to Mar-a-Lago, he's got dozens of non-citizens there working that he brought in under a visa program, and they give them Social Security numbers. So if you disagree with immigration, then that's fine. If you disagree with the limits, the quotas, I think for the H-1B, there's about a 65,000 person limit for H-1B visas every year, and then Elon Musk and others are trying to increase that. If you disagree with any of that, then fine. Then have an issue on immigration, but they keep trying to tie it to Social Security, that Social Security is incompetent in giving out all these people's benefits. And once they get a Social Security card, they're at max benefits, max inclusion, as this guy says. And max benefits for Social Security this year is $5,000. I'm sure a lot of people, I'm not making $5,000. Well, if you pay the max limit in the high 35 years, and we'll get in, I'm sure someone will ask me about calculations on Social Security. I'll get into that in a little bit. But if you pay into Social Security the max amount for 35 years and you wait until 70 to collect it, this year, your monthly benefit amount is a little over $5,000. It's the first time it's ever been over $5,000. So according to these guys, once you get a Social Security number for these non-citizens, they are immediately at max. So they get Medicaid and Medicare. When he was in Wisconsin, he said Medicaid, and during this little interview, he says it's Medicare. So I think I don't know what's going on.
Just because we were curious, we then looked to see if they were on the voter rolls, and we found in a handful of cooperative states that there were thousands of them on the voter rolls, and that many of them had voted.
That's crazy, because you cannot vote in a federal election, but I think in certain local elections you can. But what?
All right, and then this guy I think this is Ducey, right? He kind of I kind of missed the narrative there, and he kind of switches after he realizes that he kind of he actually fact checked him, which was interesting. Yes, people when they come into the country, English might not be their first language, whatever the case may be. And when you apply for a driver's license, in some states you also want to, register to vote. And some people just put a little check there and they're registered to vote. They don't vote. If some of them do accidentally vote or vote because, they're not supposed to, then yes, that's a crime. So again, they're trying to tie all this back to Social Security Administration. It's all Social Security Administration's fault. And they're using this as another justification because essentially they're at their wits' end because they keep trying to find fraud, waste, and abuse at Social Security. They tried the whole, 20 million people receiving social, that are deceased, receiving benefits, and they said, okay, they're not receiving benefits. Yes, Social Security knew about these numbers in 2008, but it was just too much money to fix those records, and it's not saving anybody. These people are not in pay. So should they have fixed it a long time ago? Yes, but it would be a waste of money because the database that everybody is focusing on, there's zero money that comes out of that. It's just a house cleaning thing for Social Security. So Social Security has a very, very, very limited budget every year, less than 1% overhead, and they have to be really, really selective of where that money goes in terms of administrative overhead. 1%. I don't think Tesla runs on 1% administrative budget. I don't think, many companies out there have a 1% overhead, but Social Security has a 1% overhead. So they're razor thin. And they said, well, spend all this time correcting those, records that there's no money coming out of. Yeah, it's a waste of money. We need to buy paper right now. Social Security offices throughout the country can't buy paper because Doge canceled all their credit cards. So
once you get a Social Security number, that helps you do a lot of stuff. I know, Antonio, part of this started with a program from, I think, 2017 that got started, where if people came into the country and they were authorized to work, they would automatically give them a number. So let me ask you this, Antonio. Have you figured out, you saw these millions?
Again, the guy's like, oh, shoot, I lost the narrative here. We're supposed to be attacking Social Security. And then he says, oh, and people come in the country and they're allowed to work. So they're not illegals. They were allowed to work. If you disagree that, those people shouldn't be coming and allowed to work, that's a whole separate issue. But don't blame the Social Security Administration for therefore doing their job and following congressional law and saying, okay, if these people are allowed to come into the country, and we are allowing them to work, then you have to give them a Social Security number so they can work and pay taxes. So you can't have it both ways.
To people, non-citizens on the Social Security rolls, did they get benefits?
Yes, we actually tracked them through the benefit programs. We found them in virtually all the benefit programs. And one statistic for you is we found 1.3 million of them on Medicare.
On Medicare. And a couple of days ago, he says they were on Medicaid. So either he doesn't know the difference between Medicare or Medicaid. Which I'm sure he knows the difference. when I was watching this video, being a bit of a historian, it reminded me. I'm not too familiar with this guy, Antonio Gracias. He worked for Tesla for a long time, and Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. So I think maybe he's got a little bit of obligation to come up there and support Elon Musk, support his old buddy there, and provide all this misinformation. But it reminded me of Admiral Jeremiah Denton. Not many, probably a few of you might recognize the name. During the Vietnam War.
I get adequate food, adequate clothing, and medical care when I require it.
Anybody remember what that was all about? He was a POW, prisoner of war during Vietnam, and he was using Morse code with his eyes to say, I'm being tortured. So I was watching Antonio Gracias' eyes there to see if he's saying, Elon Musk, I'm a prisoner of war of Elon Musk, and he's making me do this. And I know it's not true. My family has benefited from these, non-citizen Social Security numbers. They've come over here legally. They're working. I've hired thousands of people at Tesla that had these Social Security numbers. And so I was part of that list. And so it's not jaw-dropping, but the boss said I have to do it. So therefore I'm doing it, help me. All right. So there's so Social Security is obviously, the Social Security, there's fraud, waste, and abuse in terms of Social Security, but most of the fraud, waste, and abuse are people, individual people working, and while they're receiving disability benefits, when their disability benefits should stop because they're working too much. You can work and receive disability benefits. I've done several videos on working while receiving disability benefits. There's a lot of limitations. You can work while receiving retirement benefits, but as everybody knows, when you take early retirement, the limit is $23,400. So there are people that, frauding the system and working under their full retirement age and making over $23,400. Not really fraud. Some people just do it. They know they work over a little bit, so they know they're going to get an overpayment and they pay it back. So, but there is no. They're looking for a kind of a smoking gun, a one little thing where they can push the button and all of a sudden save billions of dollars. And there is not really anything like that in Social Security. They haven't found it. So Social Security 1, Doge, Elon Musk 0. So, all right, let's get into some, but there are places he can fix. I've talked about this several times, the computer system, all the rest of it. There are a lot of places that Social Security needs help. And if he wants to be constructive and actually help, then watch any of my videos, talk to people at Social Security, and they can tell you tons of places rather than all of these distractions in order to, okay. Of all of this fraud has been found, why no arrests? Exactly. Where are the 20 million people that have been arrested for receiving Social Security, benefits while they're deceased? There hasn't. There are reports that they found someone that supposedly 400,000 records sent or something, and they said it was for nefarious. I'm not sure, and it looks like Elon Musk gave it out, and the law enforcement is saying, why are you giving this guy tips that we're about to arrest him? You shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. But I'm not sure the details, but as soon as I heard it was an employee of Social Security and there were 400,000 records and then it was emailed, I'm taking a wild guess here, but based on my experience inside the agency, probably what happened is you've got someone probably in a regional office back in the headquarters in Baltimore. They were working on some type of project where they were analyzing data for Social Security, see, whether these people are in pay or, how we can make this more efficient or, generating some report. And they wanted to work on it. So they emailed it and they possibly CC'd it or BCC'd it to their own personal email outside of the secure system. I'm just guesstimating here because this has happened before. And we've had to come down hard on employees that have done that. And so I'm figuring based on my experience. I may be wrong. I may be 100% wrong, but that might be it. So they're going to arrest this guy, guy or gal, for accidentally sending those 400,000. And that might be it, but it could be nefarious. It could be, the person was trying to use, something. So we'll see what happens here going forward, but that might be it, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, Tweety Bird, what's up? Question, marriage divorce documentation, which is acceptable to Social Security. First marriage divorce has a crimp, and second marriage only has a court stamp with date and a judge sign filed on it. Yeah, so marriage divorce decrees, anything from the actual issuing agency. So if you get a marriage certificate, it has to be the actual marriage certificate, not a marriage license. We used to have people come in and provide the marriage license, and it says that's basically you're allowed to get married. Whether you actually went through with the marriage, somebody got cold feet at the last minute, then you didn't get married. So it actually has to be a marriage certificate from the issuing agency. So, you can request from wherever you got married, Clark County or Howard or wherever, and request the marriage certificate from them. And when they send it to you, that's considered the original from the issuing agency. People think of the original. Oh, I don't have the original. It's from the 1970s. Not the original from the issuing agency. And the divorce, same type of thing. Wherever you got divorced, most divorce decrees, because they're multiple pages, they have a little stamp on the top that says filed, and a little stamp, a little embossed seal that says it's completed. But yeah, if you're going to go ahead and file for those divorce spouse benefits, then just provide it to them, and the Social Security employee will look at it. And if it is acceptable, they will make copies of it and then give you originals right back to you. So, was a former CSR. Oh, Tanya, what's up, Tanya? So she was a claims service, customer service representative. Customer service representative used to be just an SR, service representative, but they added a letter a few years ago. With the company on Medicare side, was told we're penalized for not having insurance before signing up. You say that they are if they don't at 65, which is true. Okay. All right. So you're in a little different situation because you are CSRS. So maybe that's what you're talking about. You are CSR or CSRS. So CSR, that means you work for Social Security Administration. You were a customer service representative, or did you miss a letter there and say you were a federal employee with some other agencies and you're under the civil service retirement system? But anyway, because you receive federal retirement benefits, including health insurance, unless you work for the post office, you don't necessarily have to sign up for Part B if you don't want to. If you sign up later, if you decide you want to sign up later for Part B, yes, you will be penalized. So I'm not sure which category, you're talking about there. All right, let's see. You're taking what Musk said out of context. If you want to provide the context, absolutely. So I said that he says, these jaw dropping that all these people have come in, and non-citizens getting Social Security numbers, and that's what he says. And I did the video on his Wisconsin kind of town hall yesterday. So it was more that part I did yesterday, and this was a new thing that came out today. So you can watch the other one. So, but yeah, if I took it out of context, let me know. Dr. Ed, Social Security, you have explained the social part many times. Could you explain the security part? All right. Wow, you're going to get me started now. So what Betty is talking about is the social part is it's not a IRA. It's not a personal individual retirement account. It's a social, right? And, being an old Marine Corps sergeant, military, I would argue, and also being an historian, I would argue that, you've got the Department of Defense, the War Department used to be called. But if you look at history, if you look at countries that have eventually fallen, they didn't, the final reason for their fall was not being attacked by an outside power. It was being eroded within. So I always say the Social Security should be called the Department of Defense. just kind of half jokingly, because it's the greatest anti-poverty program in American history, bar none. Millions of seniors and the disabled would be, on the streets if they didn't have Social Security. And if you had that type of society, then it's all over, right? If we can't take care of, the least amongst us, the most vulnerable, the people that need help, then, who are we as a people? So that is the first step, is that we just deteriorate from the inside, and that'll open us up for any country to come in, just walk in and take us over. So our number one defense, forget the Department of Defense, forget the Marine Corps first to call, the first to fight, the Marine Corps and stuff like that. They won't need to fight if we're a strong country internally, right? If we're a strong country internally, then so I think Social Security is that key to make us strong internally. So that's why I'm so passionate about keeping it around. And so, yes. All right. Penguins have feelings too. Okay. Peggy, please hit the like button. Ed does so much. Yes, please. Yes, please press the like button, because none of this helps anybody unless people, actually see it. So the problem with Social Security, okay, yeah, there's lots of problems. All right, so let's see here. Has been the enormous workload and resulting inadequate customer service. I agree. I've been a recipient on SSD, Social Security Disability Insurance, now retirement. I never had a problem other than time delays, Medicare. Yeah, so awesome. I'm so happy that they were able to take care of you across the board. But unfortunately, a lot of people, not so much. And Social Security can only do with what the resources they're given by Congress. And who decides what Congress gives Social Security? Us. We are the ones that tell Congress, hey, this is a promise. Social Security is a promise that when I retire, the money's going to be there. If I become disabled, the money's going to be there. If I pass away, the money's going to be there for my survivor. And the other part of the promise, that there's going to be someone at the local Social Security office that is able to help me make sure I get the right check at the right time. And unfortunately, we're losing that promise. And it's even worse now. It was this didn't happen overnight. This didn't happen once Doge came on. This has been a long time coming, and I blame all politicians over the last 40 years for not getting it done. So why do people think Doge is confusing loans from SBA with a benefit from Social Security? It's actually the antithesis. The public is confusing the two. Doge isn't. I saw some, I would agree with that, Ginger. I saw some people that on the other political party get up there and say, these are SBA and no, those aren't SBA. Those are children. It was the whole thing about 11-year-olds receiving benefits and stuff. SBA and the other side says, no, these are just Social Security, disabled adult child or, parent, children under the age of 18 that their parents are receiving retirement benefits or disability benefits, or their parents passed away, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I would agree with you. The other side of the political spectrum has, lobbed that incorrectly. But I think one of the reasons is because during the press conference when they were talking about that, they were using Social Security numbers. So everything is a tie back to Social Security numbers. So they said, the reason SBA is giving these loans to 11 years old is because Social Security has all these death records that are, still alive, that are 150 years old. No, there's no relevance to it whatsoever. It's just someone trying to commit fraud, or, this is a strategy some people use to avoid paying taxes. They start a business in a child's name, or if you're not rich and don't want to start a business in your child's name, a lot of other people get credit cards in their child's name. But then again, it's all, goes back to Social Security. It's all Social Security's fault because they gave that Social Security number. It's like, okay, the reason accidents happen on the highway is because it's all Ford's fault for building those cars. And I'm 58 on SSDI on my own record. My disabled adult child is on SSI through me. If your disabled adult child is on SSI, that SSI is a welfare-based program. You're probably talking about SSDI. So you're on SSDI. and then your disabled adult child is receiving SSDI as well, unless that SSDI is under $967. And if it's under $967, then they might be receiving SSI. They can receive SSI and SSDI. So, okay. His dad, 63, was making 2 times what I was when we divorced after 15 years. Would my son's benefits go up under his dad's Social Security? Yes, absolutely. It definitely sounds like it. Well, absolutely, definitely sounds like it. It really depends on how much your benefit is and how much your his father's benefit is. But it definitely sounds like if he was making twice as much as, remember, it's over the high 35 years. But your son can't start those benefits until his father starts collecting benefits. So once his father starts collecting benefits, then whether it's retirement or disability, then the child can start receiving benefits on his record. And remember, so he'll get 50%. He's getting 50% of your PIA, your primary insurance amount, or he'll get 50% of his father's primary insurance amount. As a surviving child, he gets 75%. So because there's only one child, there's a family max, but it doesn't sound like it's relevant to you. So I thought they were getting rid of SSI and Medicaid, but only for the rich guys. Hey, Stella. Well, are they getting rid of it? Do they want to get rid of it? Yes, they want to get rid of it. Are they going to be able to get rid of it? Well, that depends on us, right? So they're trying to cut back the budget. SSI, again, don't confuse SSI with SSI. Don't confuse SSI with SSA. SSI is Supplemental Security Income, welfare-based program the Social Security administers. And SSA is the Social Security Administration. Stella knows that. But there is a bill. I don't think it's done anything in Congress. There is a bill in Congress that is trying to means test. SSI and Medicaid is means tested. But they're, maybe pulling back the limits. But in terms of regular Social Security, there's an attempt to means test spouse benefits. That, if you've got a lot of money and you get other, benefits or something like that, maybe, then you might not be able to get it. Chris, when are you retiring? I already did a few years ago, but I suck at retirement, and here I am again, and taking your Social Security, Ed. I'm still too young, even though I look like I'm 80 years old. Thank you very much for disagreeing with me, but I'm not taking my Social Security for another 7 years. So you are fraud. Dell is the vortex. Okay, what? I'm gonna have to add that to my list. Let me see. Where's my list? You're right. I'm a libtard, fascist, radical, left-wing, right-wing, communist, socialist, fearmonger, reactionary, extremist, liar, Marx. Fraud. I didn't ask fraud. Now, how can we make sure Dell is the vortex? How can we make sure you're getting all the benefits you earned, and to make sure those benefits are cut? So we've gotten all the childish names away. And so let's focus on something serious. This is what politicians do. They try to divide us. And so we just fight each other and call each other names. And then, you just called them liars and said you were leaving. Did I call? I don't think I call him a liar. Did I call him a liar? A liar has an intention, but I think he knows, Antonio, that he knows that he's not telling the truth. So he definitely knows he's not, because he was part of the system. He's requested the government give Social Security numbers to non-citizens. And so he knows good and well. Elon Musk knows good and well. So, and getting these people max benefits, again, they can't get. And just because, so everybody out there that has a Social Security number, if you have a Social Security number, are you receiving over $5,000 a month in Social Security benefits? No, I doubt it. So just because you have a Social Security card doesn't mean you get max benefits in the programs. And are you receiving Medicare even if you've never worked? No, you have to pay for it. You have to pay the 40 quarters. The red flag on the left-hand side of the screen is, oh, Marine Corps flag. Look it up and start pretending the flag is something that is not. Oh, okay. Someone said it was. Yeah, I think someone said before that there was a communist flag, with the CCP or something like that. So, but yeah. Many illegals getting U.S. citizen jobs, and the real American born in USA not able to get a job because age. Not fair here, he still eats. I'm so mad at that USA people not getting jobs, but illegals, yes. Yeah, I would agree with you. But is it the fault of people that are coming to this country trying to survive and make a better life for themselves? Because, the phrase I hate hearing all the time, which is like, these illegals stole my job. Okay, number one, an illegal stole your job. Okay. Why did you work for someone that wasn't in this country legally? Why did you even work for that person if you knew that country, that your boss was illegal? Because the only person that can steal your job and take your job is the person that has that job, right? So the owner of the company, that's whatever job you had, that was theirs. And if the owner of the company, wants to take it from you or steal it from, so you can't steal it because it's their job, their position, they take it from you and they want to give it to someone else because so they can make a lot more money and don't have to pay taxes and, pretty much have that person, work 80 hours a week and they can't do anything because you just call so yeah, illegals never steal jobs from anybody unless you are actually working for a company that is owned by an illegal, because you can't steal something that's, that's the boss took. So if you disagree with that, then yeah, the owner of the company, that's the person you need to go after. So age 62, receiving Social Security retirement, would love to go to college. How does financial aid affect my benefits? Margaret, what's up, Margaret? That's my mother's name. I always love Margaret. No problem. Go for it. Yes, go to college. I'm also a college professor, and so I teach college 3 classes a semester right now. And yes, 100%. Please, yeah, go to class. And it doesn't affect your Social Security retirement at all. If you're getting financial aid or anything like that, no issues whatsoever. Do it. And Margaret, here's a little trick. If you're not really looking for a degree, you don't want an associate's or a bachelor's or whatever the case may be, you just want to take the classes because you just want to take the classes, you're interested in, like, so it's like Shakespeare or something, then don't pay for it. Here's how you do it. You look at your local college or university and you look for classes, coming up in the next semester. The current semester is going to be over in a few weeks, final exam. So, but look at summer classes, look at next fall or whatever like that, and say, oh, I'm really into this. This looks like an interesting class. Go to the bookstore or go online and find out what kind of books they're going to use for that class or something if you're really interested in it. And then go down to the campus, knock on the professor's door, and said, I'd love Shakespeare or Walt Whitman or this engineering or this business class. But, I really don't want a degree and, don't really want to pay. Can I just hang out in your class? I've had dozens of friends and family and relatives and whoever just hang out in my class and just, they say, I'm just going to hang out in your class. I don't want to take the test. So they usually didn't take the tests unless they really wanted to. But anyway, yeah, so they just hung out in the back. And a lot of them were kind of scared to ask questions because, I'm not actually enrolled. I don't want to, ask, question. I'm like, no, I love questions, particularly, because most of the students are young, so they don't know what kind of questions to ask a lot of times. So to get someone, that's got a lot of experience asking some awesome questions. Professors love the interaction. Most professors do. So yeah, just go down to your local college, find a class you like. Again, if you want a degree, then you have to enroll and everything like that. But if not, just go down there and say, hey, can I hang out? And do you mind if I ask a question every now and then? And I bet you the professor said, please. So yes, yeah, please. Look what's going on with stocks right now. Do we really want our benefits attached to it? Yeah. To privatize Social Security, when it's up, it's crazy. You make tons of money, but yeah, it's a social safety net. It's not intended to make a whole ton of money. We do get interest on, the Social Security Trust Fund and everything. But, all businesses, if you're, have got money in investments, the closer you get to your until retirement, hopefully you're moving more of that money into safer investments, and the safest investment in the world are treasury bonds. And that's essentially what Social Security is treasury bonds. Occam's razor. I love it that you did that. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. So did I do that? Yeah. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Yeah. A little Henry David Thoreau, right? Went to the woods to suck out all the marrow of life. And then he took, Anyway, please clarify for all the people who don't watch regularly or watch all content that undocumented immigrants are not getting benefits. They pay in if legally working, but don't collect. Something to know. Yes, absolutely. So it's a donation. Thank you very much. People that are not in this country legally, and this is, goes across the board. So, people that work at Mar-a-Lago and they've come in here and they're working at Mar-a-Lago as a server or cook or something like that, and then they quit and then go someplace else. They're supposed to return to their country unless they get another, visa. But sometimes they, go and work and they're not supposed to. And because they're not in the country legally at that point, or they come in illegally from the beginning, sometimes they use other people's Social Security numbers and the rest of it, and they pay into Social Security. They pay into FICA. Their employers that hire them are supposed to check, but often they don't because they want the cheap labor. So that's where the real issue is. And they pay into Social Security and they never get it back, because in order to get it back, you have to have a legal presence in the country. And how do I know? Because I've done hundreds of thousands of retirement claims, survivor claims, spouse claims, disability claims, and you have to have legal status in the country. You have to be able to allow, Congress, whatever Congress says in terms of legal status. If you fulfill it, then you can get it. If you don't, you can't get it. And all that money you paid into FICA taxes for Social Security and Medicare, all those decades and decades and decades, too bad. Thank you very much for the donation. Yeah. All right, somebody's asking about the red flag as well. Yeah, it's a Marine Corps flag. So H-1B visa are not permanent work visas. Once their employment ends, they either need to find another work sponsor or go back to their country. They can't stay here and hang out. They need to go back. Exactly. Yeah, it's a temporary employment visa for specialty occupations, the H-1B. We need another FDR right now. Yeah, he was it's interesting. He came from a very, very, very wealthy family, Hudson River, New York and stuff. His mother was very famous, and, the Delano part, and they actually made a lot of their money in, opium trade. Go figure. But that's where Thomas Edison got a lot of his funding, is through the opium money. So, yeah. Anyway, Social Security would probably have never happened in this country if it wasn't for the Great Depression. So the worst sometimes, brings out the best. And so that's why I argued, and I've argued a few times in this channel, that if we play our cards right, this might be a perfect opportunity to finally fix Social Security so we don't get cuts in the future. If we play our cards right and we turn the tables on the powers that be, because politicians on both parties have failed over the last few decades. And that's why customer service is so terrible at Social Security. And that's why there are going to be cuts in the future, because politicians have failed us. And now is an opportunity, a perfect opportunity to fix it if we do it right. So by reaching out to our politicians and don't falling for the BS. That's the key. They're trying to distract us. Oh, look at all the deceased people receiving Social Security benefits. Oh, okay, well, that was proven. Oh, okay, let me switch to the old standard. Let's blame immigrants. So it's all immigrants' fault. The reason I have male pattern baldness is because of immigration. My husband is receiving Social Security. He contributed to Social Security for 4 years when working with the local government until 1982. Does his pension qualify for WEP? All right. So, so the way the question is answered, let me see if I can figure this out. So if he paid into Social Security So he is receiving Social Security. So if his Social Security check was recalculated based on his non-covered pension from when he worked for a local government in 1982, then Social Security is right now they're supposedly recalculating the benefits. So possibly he qualified for the Social Security Fairness Act. So that's only if his current benefit amount has been wept. But if it was never wept because he never really received a pension from that local government, then no. So, question. Am 55 and receiving my deceased ex pension. Should I wait until 65 to collect to cover Medicare or wait until FRA? He made way more than me. Okay. So number one, so you're 55. So that means you are receiving, his pension. Are we talking about Social Security? You're receiving Social Security surviving spouse benefits. If you're 55, the only way you can receive Social Security surviving spouse benefits is if you're called a DWIB, disabled widow benefit. So if you're receiving disabled widows benefits, then because you're receiving that's disability, you're already eligible for Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. If that's not what you're getting and you're getting some other type of pension or something, then yes, you have to wait till you're 65 to get Medicare. In terms of if you're not getting disabled widows benefits, you can receive regular survivor benefits at 60. So if you're already receiving disabled widows benefits, you're good. If not, a few months before you turn 60, check to see how much the surviving spouse benefits are. And then when you turn a few months before you turn 65, then, look at Medicare. And then you can reach out to my partners. They sponsor this live Q&A. So we're here to help you out. Ron, my wife will be 62 in January 26. When should she apply? And she wants it at 62. So unless she was born basically first couple of days of the month, then she has to wait until February. She has to be 62 the entire month. So her benefits would start in February, but she'll get her first check in March. So if February is her first month, and 3 months before that. So you can do it online, call them, schedule an appointment. Number one thing I would do between now and then is have her go in, set up an online Social Security account, ssa.gov, set up a My Social Security account, and then have her check her earnings record, all her earnings record, and because that's going to determine how much she's going to get from those benefits. So 1.3 million illegals on Medicaid found in 2025. Say it out loud. 1.3 million illegals on Medicaid. That's incorrect. By federal law, you cannot get Medicaid. So yeah, if you're in this country illegally, that is 100% incorrect. The 1.3 million. Yeah, no, that is incorrect. There are, I think the 1.3 million that they're talking about is because, again, during the thing, he was switching around. He said 5 million this and then this. And so, yeah, they were all over the board trying to, make this puzzle for people to understand, but the pieces just weren't, all you have to do is break down the pieces for about 5 seconds and you're like, okay, what has nothing to do with that. I think the 1.3 million are the pending asylum cases. There's a multi-year backlog in asylum. So since since Jimmy Carter, the 1980s, we've accepted asylees, people that are, it was first started as a Cold War, people coming over from Russia, the old ballet team and stuff like that, Bolshoi ballet and stuff. We've accepted, asylees, fleeing persecution and, wars and whatever the case may be. And there's 1.3 million of those pending. So those are just pending. Those are not people receiving Medicaid. But that begs the question, if they're able to find if they're saying 1.3, and that's what they're saying is, again, they said 1.3 million illegals are receiving Medicaid, and that's not correct. They're alluding to the fact that they are in Medicaid So Doge and Elon Musk and this Antonio guy is in Social Security. They're looking at every single one of Social Security records, which includes your names, addresses, who you were married to, how much you made throughout your life, and then everybody. So they have information on all of, Warren Buffett, and they've got, this is the greatest, the treasure trove, in today's age. It's all about information. So whoever's got the most information wins. And when you've got that humongous data set, that database of Social Security, and they're saying we've got everything on Medicaid. We've got so much access to Medicaid. Supposedly we found these 1.3 million people, which they didn't, but they're saying they've got complete access to Medicaid, and that's part of the CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So if they're in Medicaid, they also have complete access to Medicare, and they also have complete access to the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, marketplace insurance. So supposedly they have access to all of that, and they've got a way to use it. XAI, Elon Musk's artificial intelligence, Grok. So you put this and that together, and that is probably one of the most dangerous weapons we've seen. Yeah. It's if they weren't here, then the job would still be there for the U.S. citizen. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's an old going back. $5 an hour to pick strawberries. So don't see the again. They say, well, it's let the market decide. So okay, get rid of all people, undocumented immigrants that come in and pick the produce and all that kind of stuff, and then make it available. And these farmers always said, well, I can't find anybody. Well, if capitalism, the market, this is a market-driven decision, then you raise hourly wages until you can find those people. So they want to hire people at $5 an hour to pick strawberries. And they said, okay, if we lose those people, then nobody is going to work for $5 an hour. Okay, you're capitalist, you're market driven. So what the market will bear. So you need to raise your hourly wage until you get those workers. So once it's $20 an hour to pick strawberries, $30 an hour, $40 an hour to pick strawberries, and then you fulfilled it. But obviously then inflation goes crazy. And so, yeah. I can't hear these stupid arguments anymore. The illegals, this and that, they have no clue. I'm not U.S. citizen, but yes, I get Social Security and I have a Social Security number. Yes. So you are allowed to get Social Security benefits and not be a U.S. citizen. As I mentioned, my father was a Canadian citizen until up a few days before he passed away. He always says he was in a previous life. He used to punch cows in West Texas. He was an old 18-wheeler truck driver. He was a Teamster all his life in Canada and in the United States. So yeah. And Elon Musk was a immigrant, and Antonio's father and mother and brother and sister are immigrants, and so the first lady was an immigrant. So yeah. Dr. Ed, must be for having the illegals here in the country and being put into the Social Security system. Yeah, if they're, well, not illegals. No, absolutely not. Illegals, if you're illegal, you should not be put in the Social Security system. No, absolutely. No, never said that. If you're accepted to this country legally, Anthony, 5, if you're accepted to this country legally on a H-1B visa or a H-3 visa or a student visa, or you're married, you marry an American citizen, you move to this country, or you win the lottery to become a citizen or, immigrant into the country, if you're allowed in this country legally, then yes. If you're entitled to a Social Security card because you're in this country legally, then yes. But illegals, no. He claims he found fraud, waste, and abuse, and 30 million immigrants are on Social Security and are voting. I don't believe this. Yeah. And again, no proof. He just, throws out this number and throws out that number and throws out this other number and then comes up with catfish. So this guy keeps all right. The government used to fund their budgets from savings. Yeah. Social Security does. They cover the gap between what comes in and what goes out. That's covered by savings, and that's the issue. The trust fund is slowly being depleted. So, somebody gives something good. Auditing classes are more difficult now because campuses are security conscious. Yes, but most campuses are open. They don't have you check. But if you just go up to the professor and say, "Hey, do you mind?" Then it's yeah. Dr. Weir, third time asking you the question, the lion. Okay, what question? I can only see. I can't see anything above this question here. So sorry. You're doing a wonderful job. It's the cons out there that are making the ruckus. If you are legally here with legal papers, you're welcome. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not like, Elon Musk and Antonio, that says, how dare those people come in here? And when it's a bunch of people, them and people around them. So I can very well when my father came over here as an immigrant. Yeah. So let's see. That's a lie. Illegals have been being put into Social Security system. Yeah, no. All right. So all right. Let's see. Got other questions. You sound like you are for the, okay, getting money from the Social Security that I put in. Yep. Nope. Again, yeah. If you're not in the country legally, you can't get Social Security benefits. Period. Full stop. If you are in the country illegally, you cannot get Social Security benefits. Period. I mean, how many times do you have to say that? You can donate money to Social Security. You can get an ITN number or a fake Social Security number and pay into Social Security all day long, which we thank you, but you're never going to get it back. Sorry, unless you eventually become, a legal resident or something. But yeah, if you're illegal, you can't get it. Danny, 63 on SSDI since 17. When they figured my amount, she said they went back 15 years and used that to figure my amount. Is that correct? Well, they 17 years. You sent SSDI since 17. Well, the calculations are updated every year. So if you're working, because yes, you can work and collect Social Security disability insurance, there's the trial work period and there's the substantial gainful activity. So I know Danny knows all the details there. But you can work and collect disability benefits. And if you do, and you pay into Social Security, then your benefit amount is recalculated every single year. So I'm actually coming up with a calculator because a lot of people are kind of questioning AI out there. So I'm actually coming up with a retirement calculator, cost benefit analysis, and all that kind of stuff, and double check the AI. So I'm working on that. So AG granted authority pursuant to the Alien Enemies Act, the Secretary of Homeland Security, guidance to effectuate the prompt apprehension, detention, and removal of all alien enemies. Okay. Not sure enemies. It's people picking our strawberries and, working at our restaurants. I don't know how many enemies they are, but anyway, so yeah. Right to cheap labor, but the employers lose nothing. Yeah. Who do you, Dr. Weir, work for? You are a liberal and do not like Trump. Whose side are you really on? My political party is don't get your Social Security checks cut political party. That's my political party. So again, call me whatever you want, except for late for dinner. Don't. Liberal, conservative. I am for whatever political party. I am for Elon Musk. If he would stop with the stupid distractions and get back to, hey, I can fix Social Security and, update the computer system, make sure it's done right. And make it more efficient and stuff like that, improve the phone system. Elon, if you're willing to do that, I can help you find fraud, waste, and abuse. And most of it is on individual basis and make it easier for people, particularly like on disability and early retirement and all that kind of stuff, to make sure they don't get incorrect payments. So if you're willing to reach out to me, let's do it. Let's get this thing fixed. There's a lot that can be done with Social Security, but you need to stop the dumb distractions, And Trump, he said he's not going to cut Social Security. He's not going to cut Medicare. Perfect. I like it. But Social Security is going to be cut automatically in a few years because the trust fund is running out. So just watching the house burn does not help. We need to put out the fire and rebuild it. So I don't care what political party you are. If you're about saving Joyce your Social Security check to make sure it doesn't cut and make sure it comes on time, you get the right check at the right time, then that's the political party I belong to. So which, whoever's willing to fix it, I'm here. Let's see. Alice, didn't Bush during 9/11 take a huge amount from Social Security, and the Republicans have not paid it back? And didn't Clinton fix the Social Security issue prior to Bush? So that's kind of one of the distractions of politicians. Oh, the Social Security Trust Fund, the $2.7 trillion, $2.6 trillion has been stolen. And so that's the trick that politicians use to shut you up. So you say, oh my gosh, the Social Security Trust Fund is, it's running out. It was kind of meant to run out, not this soon. But it's running out, and we need to come up with a solution to make sure cuts don't happen. And then you tell that to a politician, and then the politician says, oh, did you hear the Social Security Trust Fund was stolen? Oh, did you hear about these millions of deceased people receiving benefits? As soon as we fix that, then everything will be hunky-dory. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. And then you just go away, and the politician just laughs and says, ha, sucker, they fell for it again. So yeah, we need to, the trust fund wasn't stolen. It's, it's being paid back. If you're receiving Social Security benefits, you're receiving the trust fund. About 8-9% of your Social Security check every month is from the trust fund, because this much comes in, that much goes out. And then what's covering the gap is the Social Security Trust Fund. And so about 8% of your check is the trust fund. If you believe that's stolen, it's not really existing, it's not really there, then please, you've got a cat there in your little icon. Take 8% of your Social Security check and donate it to your local animal shelter, your cat shelter, because you don't believe that's real money. So we just need to stop following for politicians' tricks. So, all right, I am way out of time again. I apologize. I think tomorrow I'm going to have to do a video where my intro, whatever topic of the day, is like super, super short. And that way I can answer more questions, but I'll do that again tomorrow. All right, y'all take care. Please take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.